Activities for listening and speaking. 2. Listening. We know that paper is made from trees, but do you know that the first pen was also made from a plant? Listen to this article about pens. As you listen, fill in the blanks to complete the passage given below. The first pen. The ancient Egyptians first made paper, which they called papyrus, from the stem of a water plant. Papyrus became the chief writing material of the ancient world. The first pen was made from the hollow stem of a reed known as a calamus. The pen that the Egyptians used had a soft point like a paintbrush. Later, the Greeks and Romans carved it to a sharp point. Gradually, bird feathers replaced the hollow reeds that the ancient used. The Latin word for feather is penna, and that is how the pen got its name. For almost 1500 years, people used quill or feather pens to write. People mostly used goose feathers, and the quill was cut with a knife which was called the penknife. In the 10th century, steel nibs began to be made in Birmingham in Britain. The early nibs were very hard and stiff, but gradually the quality of the nibs improved, making it easier to use them. Around 1825, fountain pens were first made. Then, in the 20th century, many kinds of pens began to be introduced. The ballpoint, the fiber point, the roller ball, and the gel point. Paper was first made by the Egyptians, and they called it dash. They used the hollow stem of a dash to make pens. Later, dash were used. The Latin name for feather is dash, and that is how the pen got its name. The end of the feather or dash was sharpened with a knife called a dash. In the 10th century, steel nibs began to be made in dash. In England, fountain pens were made in dash. Some types of pens we use today are the ballpoint, the dash, and the dash. Speaking. Information gap activity. Have you heard of the Great White Desert of Gujarat? Most of the salt India produces comes from here. Find out more about this region. Tables A and B given on the next page contain information about the White Desert. Some information is missing from each table. Work in pairs as participants A and B. Take turns to ask your partner about the missing information in your table so that both of you have the complete information. Remember to form complete questions when asking for information. When giving answers, remember to use complete sentences.